have a Jerry story. I come from Eastern Washington.
Can you hear him?
I come from Eastern Washington. Hi, Seattle. And I live up in Northport, 20 miles from the Canadian border. So I drive frequently back and forth. And on the way back, after the July 4th, I was in my truck, and I said, Jerry, show me a sign. You know, and so I look out my truck, and I'm thinking, well, is the sky going to part and I'll see Jerry's face, or am I going to get a lightning bolt in my top of my truck? And nothing really happened. So,
is it going to hit me in the mouth with the microphone?
Yeah, yes. And so I kind of forgot about it. I didn't let it bother me. And as I'm going into the Spokane Indian Reservation, this is about an hour later, I look to my left and I see this sign, huge sign, just right after the July 4th. It's 15 by 30. It said, Abraham Fireworks, we got rockets. And I went, Jerry, it's really good. It's a sign.
It's interesting, isn't it, how easy it is for humans to pass those things off as coincidences or as happenstance. But because of the setup, because of the question that you would ask, because of the intensity that you were about when something like that occurs, there's no question in your mind that you have rendezvoused with something meaningful. Esther is noticing so many moments where she can feel Jerry's not just presence but involvement, not just his interest but his intertwining, not just his presence but his consciousness, not just his presence but his opinion, but his insight, but his awareness, his involvement. And so Esther can feel, even sometimes, in the same way that when Abraham is flowing through her. In the early days, we sat in that chair, in fact, in the home of Jerry and Esther. And Esther was not standing, she was sitting, and the movements were very awkward. It took a little while for her to get vibrationally up to speed with us enough that there could be movement. And unless you were there, understanding and witnessing the progression of it, you might not understand that it was a progressive thing that took place. So now, in like manner, Esther recognizes some of Jerry's familiar physical movements in her body. He drove very little, but he managed to rub the paint off every steering wheel with his twittering thumb. And now Esther's thumb is moving on the steering wheel while she drives, and she knows that it is his participation in a way that lets her consciously be aware. So the other night, she is having dinner with family, and music is playing, and Esther's foot began beating to the music. Now, you all experience that all the time. And it occurred to Esther that motion in her foot, which was happening at what she would call an unconscious level, was someone from non-physical who was moving to the rhythm of the music. Now, stay with us just a little bit, because this is really an important understanding in light of everything that we've been talking here today about the intertwining of non-physical. So, you ever tapped your foot to music?
Yes.
Has it ever felt involuntary to you, like it was just happening? So, what that means is that someone non-physically focused is hearing the same music you're hearing. That's the important thing to understand. Hearing the same music that you're hearing. Hearing the same music that you're hearing. And responding with a thought that you are translating into a movement. Don't you like knowing that? All this time you just thought you had rhythm. We really want you to begin to understand that the continuity of lifetime to lifetime to lifetime, most humans think, well, I'm here and I'm alive, and new ones are being born and old ones are leaving, and the majority of us are staying, but we are passing the baton of consciousness and understanding to one another in this physical format. And we say, while that is happening, and certainly you are handing on your beliefs and so forth, some helpful and some not so helpful, the true continuity of life is that there is never any death, and that there is never any loss of attention of what's going on here, because this is the leading edge where this non-physical consciousness is so enjoying its focus, you see. And so you all, when you manage to tune yourself to a frequency where the fullness of this source energy can be allowed by you in the moment, you don't have to tune yourself in order for us to have the experience with you. We're tapping your foot. You see what we're getting at?
Yeah.
You don't have to consciously know about this continuity, but when you consciously make the connection and you begin to deliberately tune yourself to this frequency with the express intent of feeling the love and the knowing of all that is known by that, the ramifications in your moment-to-moment experiences are unspeakable. You light up in ways, you get on these high-flying discs, you rendezvous with others who are there also, and you become the masters of your time-space reality as you allow the masters of the universe to rendezvous with you, you see. It's only in your human form. Augie, that little dog, he knew what to do, he knew where to go. He knew exactly where to go. He knew where the alignment was in that moment in time. He knew. And it's time for you to know. But you got to practice flying high. You got to practice feeling good. Before this gathering is over, we'll talk about lots of ways to get there and stay there. But we want to open within you the understanding that you are not ever alone, that you are extensions of Source, but that you have been depriving yourself of the majority of the alignment that you deserve. And when you start tuning in deliberately and reaching for good feeling thoughts deliberately and acknowledge them when you find them, you begin deliberately opening pipes, and you begin deliberately neglecting other pipes. You begin neglecting the ones that don't feel good while you give your undivided attention to things that do feel good. As you practice this frequency until you own it, until you begin to present a vibration to the universe that is unified and that is consistent, so that what's coming to you is measurable and noticed by you and understood by you. You begin to feel invincible. You begin to understand then that it's just a matter of identifying that you want it and then just flowing your thoughts toward it and watching the pipes open and then enjoying all the rendezvous along the way. And then you also begin to notice that it's not just the manifestation point at which you feel your enthusiasm. In fact, that happens very quickly, and then you're on to something else. It's this ongoing, steady motion toward more and more rendezvous with the likes of that which you are. Deliberate creation. So satisfying in so many ways. Something more?
Yeah, I just want one thing more, and then I'll leave. You saved my life, basically. Last November, I weighed 100 pounds more than I do now, and I got hold of one of your DVDs, and I was ready to... someone said, you've got to listen to Esther, Abraham. And I said, no, I don't know. I'm not into that kind of stuff. And I'm grouchy and mean and and I had my finger on the delete button, ready to stop this DVD from entering my realm. And so you come on. It was a 2006 DVD, I believe. And you started talking, and I froze. And my finger went like this back onto my chair, and I sat back in my sofa and watched the whole DVD in my whole life. And you said, if you just, and this was in 11 of 2012, you said, if you breathe for 15 minutes a day for 30 days, something good will happen to you. And 30 days from them, on 12/26 of 2012, I became enlightened of all my bullshit, of everything that had been holding me up and everything that I was angry about. and then I felt joy, and then I started going up what you call the emotional scale to from hope to joy, and here I am, and I can't believe that I'm here. And my question is now when I'm meditating, and I'll be brief, so
well, your time's up. No.
Okay. You say to quiet your mind by listening to your breath, or think about a pure positive thought. I just wanted to know what a pure positive thought would be to meditate on.
We've been talking about a cork bobbing on the surface of the water, and that's that high-flying vibration. It's a vibration with no resistance, and it feels lighthearted, or it feels like clarity, or it feels like fun, or it feels like eagerness, or it feels like love. In other words, it's, lighthearted may be the best way of describing it. Now, you can hold that cork under the water. That's what negative emotion is. But when you let go of it, it will bob back up to the surface. So, through meditation, when you are able to quiet your mind, when you quiet your mind, you stop thought. And when you stop thought, you stop resistance. And when you stop resistance, your vibration raises.
Right.
So, when we come back from segment of refreshment, we'll be talking about a lot of this. But we want to talk about components of thoughts. Let's say that you're on this thought that has negative momentum. And the more you focus upon it, the more momentum it gains, because the more detail you bring to it. So we want to submit the premise that the more specific you get, the more momentum happens. The less specific, or the more general you are, then the more the momentum slows. So the optimum experience would be to quiet your mind enough, or wake up and already be there.
Right.
In that high frequency, which is absence of resistance, and then focus there long enough that momentum gets going. And that's exactly what happened to you. It was a slower process than that. We've written so many books and so many processes in order to help people just find a thought that feels better, and find a thought that feels better, and find a thought that feels better. But humans, we love you so much. You know what's coming next. You want to complicate things more than you need to. You want to struggle in the process in order to measure your progress. And we want you to understand that if it were not for the introduction of the resistant thought, there would be no resistance. And so, in a simpler way, if you just begin reaching for the best feeling thought early on and do your best to perpetuate that. And so, there are some things that we have presented, and when we come back from segment of refreshment, we will talk about 2 or 3 of them that you could deliberately apply. But we want to be very light about all of that, because there is a simpler approach to this vibrational attunement than most humans have been allowing themselves to discover. And so we're going to present it to you in a new format that is easy to apply, in a way that is easy to understand. Much of it you've already heard here this morning. And then the next 30 days for each of you, even beginning in this day, will be the evidence that will let you know that you have had a vibrational shift. You are always going to have a vibrational shift. There's never a day that you're not going to have another vibrational shift, because there's never a day that's not going to cause you to reach for another vibrational place. But once you understand the process, then you're just going to keep reaching and aligning and reaching and aligning and reaching and aligning until the momentum of who you are is going to be so in sync with this broader non-physical awareness that then that's when that feeling of invincibility, that's where that feeling of empowerment. Those who are watching you will be surprised, maybe even astonished, to see the clarity of you, to feel the clarity of you, and then to watch the magnetism that you have somehow accomplished when they weren't paying attention. It's a really remarkable thing that happens when you allow yourself to get in sync with your natural rhythm. And that's really all that we're talking about here. This is a really good time for a segment of refreshment.
Thank you.